these notes are really about the interwar years between World War I and World War II. I want you to think about when we ended World War I. Did the U.S. sign the Treaty of Versailles? No. Why did we not sign the Treaty of Versailles? What was the issue we had with the Treaty of Versailles? The League of what? Nations. Okay, so we had issues with the League of Nations because what issue did our Congress have with the League of Nations?
One person signed it.
Huh?
One person went to go sign it.
Oh, Wilson went to sign it, but they had an issue with a specific power.
Take away America's right to go to war.
It took away America's right to go to war. So remember they said if you vote for Harding, you do not want the League, right? You do not want the Treaty of Versailles. So people voted for Harding. So we didn't sign the Treaty of Versailles. Now Harding and Coolidge are in office and they're facing the problem is we're still at war with Germany, right? Okay, we won't officially end that war with them until 1933, but Harding and Coolidge are going to deal with this problem. And what they're going to do is they're going to bring everybody to Washington, several of the biggest power nations, and they're going to sign some treaties to kind of compensate for not signing the Treaty of Versailles and joining the League of Nations. The first one is the Five-Power Treaty. And the largest nations, Great Britain, the U.S., France, Italy, and Japan, all agree to demilitarize their navies. So what are they doing if they're demilitarizing? Are they making them big or are they making them small? Remember Wilson in his 14 points? Did he want to have smaller militaries?
Yes.
He says if we have smaller militaries, what would that prevent?
A war.
War. From this list of people, I want you to tell me who do you think is going to violate this? Italy, France, Japan, U.S., or Great Britain? Germany wasn't even on the list. Everybody said that. Yes, Germany is going to violate everything of the Treaty of Versailles. Okay. Japan is going to be the one that violates this. But looking at this, I'm going to talk something specifically about Japan in a second. I want us to look at the different power treaties that are here and talk about who's going to violate them. In the next one, it's the Four-Power Treaty. It's to respect each other's territory in the Pacific. This is signed by the U.S., this is signed by Great Britain, this is signed by France and Japan. Who do you think is not going to follow that? I didn't even say Italy. Japan. It's going to be a repetitive trend. The next one, the Nine-Power Treaty. Respect the open door policy, which we talked about in imperialism. Japan is not going to follow that. Looking at here, we had a treaty that Japan signed saying that they would have a small military. They would not take over land in the Pacific, and they would not take over China. But did they follow this? No. So there was treaties, and basically it's a law, right? So if you violate a law, what should happen? Like, for example, you're not wearing your ID in school. What should happen? Prison. Yes, exactly. Okay. Usually your teacher says, hey, there is a rule. You need to have an ID on, right? Immediate redirection. Did anybody redirect Japan here? No. Did anybody go slap Japan on its wrist saying, no, 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 Japan, you cannot have China? Okay. Yeah, well, that's what we're going to realize really soon. No one cares about China. Our heart will break. But you're learning this word in English. It's called appeasement. Right? Oh, yeah. Okay, so let me talk about appeasement and how I deal with appeasement. And I hate appeasement because right now I hate taking my daughter to H-E-B. And I'm just so happy about CardSight to go because now I just put everything on my phone and I go pick it up and I don't have to deal with the checkout lane. Okay? Because I hated the checkout lane when I had my kids. Well, I still have my kids. It doesn't really do anything to this. Okay? I have my kids. They're still alive. They're still there. I promise. I just dropped off two. Okay? But I have to re-record. Okay? But I take my daughter in the checkout lane. And what is most kids' problem being in the checkout lane? They say, I want the candy. And the parent's like, no. Immediately, what does the kid do? Break down, cry. And what does the parent do?
Okay, fine.
Fine, give the candy. That's appeasement. That's appeasement at its finest. What has the kid learned every single time?
If I cry, I get
Okay, right here. What has Japan learned about the rule? Is anybody going to enforce it?
No.
No, they're going to be appeased. They're going to be able to do whatever they want. And so by not following these treaties, does it kind of set up World War II in the Pacific?
Yes.
Yes. That appeasement of Japan by not enforcing the rules is what's going to cause World War II. Believe me, we're not only appeasing Japan, we're going to appease Germany as well. And that stuff that happens in the interwar years will cause World War II. The next one is the Kellogg Brand Pact Act, and many of you are like, Kellogg, that reminds me of cereal. And you wake up in the morning and you're really hungry and you eat that cereal. It gives you solace, it gives you peace, right? You're like, oh, my Frosted Flakes, my Pop-Tarts, my Mini Wheats, whatever it is, right? I always want you to think of Kellogg Brand Pact, and I want you to think of peace, okay? What this is, it's trying to sit down 95 of the aggressor nations, and they all are signing a treaty to end use of force. They're trying to create peace. Germany signs this. Japan signs this. Italy signs this. Really? These are all fictitious treaties, right? They're not going to lead to anything, but they're going to cause the war. And eventually Japan, when they bomb the United States at Pearl Harbor, they're going to put all of these treaty medals on their bombs. And eventually when we drop the atomic bomb, we put the same treaties on Little Boy and Fat Man. Okay? Okay, so now, Latin America. We're going to send in our troops into Nicaragua and Haiti just to help investors there. Tariffs, which way do tariffs go? Have we always talked about? Up, except for which one? Underwood. I've also talked about this Dawes plan. Y'all remember this pea brain of an idea?
Yes.
Okay, so the U.S. was owed money by who?
The Allies.
The Allies. Who owed the Allies money?
Germany.
Germany. I'm just going to put G. Okay, so how do we get this whole chain of money to get started?
We gave money to Germany.
U.S. businesses make loans to Germany so they could kickstart their economy, so that they could pay back the Allies, so the Allies could pay back us, and eventually once they pay back the Allies, what are they supposed to do? Germany. Pay back us. But did they do that? No, they defunct on this Dawes plan, and we basically started the German economy, which will basically set the foundation for the remilitarization and World War II sponsored by America. Hooray. Okay. Okay. All right, next thing, Hoover. Hoover comes to office. All right, Hoover is looking at these peace conferences, and he's saying, okay, there are people who are getting a little bit shisty in their power, specifically Japan. So Hoover realizes that Japan has defied the open door policy in the 9-Power Treaty. And he's trying to send the League in to do stuff, but can he really send the League in?
No.
The League of Nations really is a dog with no teeth. It's a dog with bark but no bite, because it doesn't have a military. And so what's happening is Japan has invaded Manchuria. The League did nothing to condemn Japan. You know how you walk in, where's your ID, are you in dress code? We immediately addressed that. No one addressed it with Japan. Japan has just been appeased. We're going to see Secretary of State Henry Steisman declared that in 1932 that the U.S. would honor its obligation under the 9-Power Treaty by refusing to recognize the legitimacy of anything great gained by Japan. Okay, so let's just say Mallory takes Misty's phone. Basically, we're saying that I'm not acknowledging that Mallory has taken her phone. She has not gained her phone. She will eventually give it back.
No.
Is that ever going to happen?
It just did.
No. I know she was nice enough to give it back to you, but by us saying to Japan that you didn't take China, we're not acknowledging it, what are they still going to do?
Take China.
Take more. Well, they didn't do anything to me. They didn't send in a military. I'll take more, and that's exactly what happens to China. Just because the U.S. says, if I say it didn't happen, okay, do y'all know of an animal that tries to hide itself from chaos to saying if I don't see it, it's really not there? The ostrich.
How did you know? That's such like an odd.
Because no, it's something we're going to talk about when I get to Dr. Seuss Goes to War in our next unit, in this next unit, okay? Believe me, we're going to see the ostrich in a second, okay? So, America goes on a good world tour. We remove our troops from Haiti, hooray, and we remove them from Nicaragua. Our problem now is that we're in the Depression. And Roosevelt wants to reverse our troops being there because they're too much of an expense. Hoover says we're never going to intervene in Latin America affairs because we're kind of pushing ourselves on Latin America. And so we attend the Pan American conferences promising that we will always sit down with arbitration and not take over these countries. Roosevelt returns and he says we will sit down and arbitrate with y'all. We won't just go in with our military and take over like we kind of did in Panama. In Mexico, the revolutionaries rise up against the American businessmen and they seize the oil fields. Roosevelt refuses to send in troops to regain back stuff for the business. Last thing, there is a huge conference in London where all the world leaders are going to meet because the depression's not only happening in America, it's worldwide. Many of these leaders are saying if we go to this conference, maybe we could do something on tariffs, because if we reduce tariffs, that will increase trade. So Roosevelt's on his yacht, on his way there, and he's sitting working on his New Deal. Remember that New Deal that was 4 pages long? And he's like, man, I really want to work on my New Deal, but I have to go to this conference where I'm supposed to sit with the world leaders to fix the world governments and also the world economy. He's like, fix America, fix the world. Fix America, fix the world. What do you think he decides to do? Fix America. He doesn't attend the conference. You have to understand how much of a superpower he is. People realize that the #1 nation is not there. And what do you think happens to the attendance at the London Economic Conference?
Yeah.
And people like Hitler, Mussolini, Hideki Tojo go back to their countries and they say, look, we were going to attend a conference to fix the world problems, to fix the tariff issues, to increase trade, and we couldn't do it. So the only way I know how to do this is remilitarizing, putting people in military service. So the failure of the economic conference led to totalitarian governments militarizing their Hey, we're going to recognize the Soviet Union at this time. Not that they've changed from communism or that we have adopted communism, but we realize that we can start trading with them. And that should help our economy. We then set the Philippines on its route for independence in 1933. We say by 1946 you will be independent, but from 1933 to 1946 they're taken over by Japan. Last thing, we do the reciprocal trade agreements that we're going to reduce our tariffs if another nation agrees to reduce our tariffs. Will any of these things fix the depression? No. But do y'all see how the policies here are going to cause World War II? All right. So our next note set